Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Shubham, and I welcome all of you today for this event today. So, today we have two great speakers who are going to run an interactive discussion on how you can pitch online better. So, before we start, I'd like to first, introduce you all to the DueDash Noida community. DueDash Noida community is a global community where we bring founders across investors to make their startups investable, build their business with focus, and receive funding. I'd like to now call Marcus, who's one of the co-founders of DueDash, to give you a brief about DueDash.
Hey everybody, welcome. Good to see you here, and thanks Shubham for that introduction. Just a few words from our side. Shubham is one of our city leaders leading the Founders Sparing Ring in Noida. With our DoDash community, we really try to help founders across the world. So that's why we're having all those Founders Sparing Rings across the world to have not just a global but also a local impact. And that you just know quickly what you can expect from the, let's say, DoDash universe, what type of benefits you can derive from that. I'll be just sharing 3 to 4 slides so that you get a fast background on what we do here. So at DoDash, our mission is to make startups investable. How are we doing this? Is, as Shubham said, that we're bringing together all the relevant players from the global startup ecosystem and really help them on all the startup and fundraising related processes and thereby become investable and receive the needed funding. On DoDash, we really have a world full of opportunities. So you can not only strengthen your local and global network, you can join events like today that really bring you further in one specific area of your business. You can find your co-founders directly on DoDash on the global area, but also locally in your founder sparing rings. You can learn from experts across the world, like today, Martin and Lau, on pitching. You have different ways of engaging with your community in closed groups and closed academies. And for many, very relevant, you can have exclusive benefits if you are shown to be investor ready. How can you show that? We have a free DoDash investment readiness check out there where you can just go through. We give you a free diagnostics on how investable you are in each area of your business, which also includes uploading your 60-second pitch here to the Noida Founders Sparing Ring. And then from there on, if you show to be investable, we can put you in front of investors across the world. You can receive credits of up to 25,000 US dollars through our partners, and we can really help you get that funding if you're willing to take that route of the entrepreneurial success. And last but not least, this is the Founders Bearing Ring of Noida. And here, Shubham will try to bring in all the relevant ecosystem players that are needed for you as a founder, investors, experts, co-working spaces, accelerator programs, governmental initiatives, so that you have all the relevant players all in one place. And with Shubham, you have a very motivated young entrepreneur sitting here who's really willing to help each one of you out there to become investable. So just join that Founders Bearing Ring after the event if you've not been part of it. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all in there. If you have more questions, feel free to contact directly Shubham, come to our website, or talk to Michael, our head of global community. That's all I want to say, just to frame that session, give a short introduction of what DoDash is about, and I'm happy to give it back to you, Shubham.
Thanks, Marcus, for the brief introduction. Now, I'd like to introduce you all to the first speaker, Martin. Martin is a pitch coach and presentation consultant with 20 years of experience creating standout pitches for Hollywood A-list actors, CEOs, managers, and founders in tech, government, automotive, education, and the entertainment industry. He has trained startups at Plug and Play, Angel Hack, China Accelerator, Beehive, and Startup Grind. He's going to today share his insights and training, which will inspire aspiring entrepreneurs to pitch with impact and confidence at their demo days. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you also, Lard, my co-speaker. We're going to have a fantastic session today, and I am going to talk about online pitching. So let me get my slides up. Okay, can everybody see a first slide that says pitch online with a fantastic professional doing an online pitch? Can you see that? Yeah? Excellent. Today, I'm going to talk about something which is really important for everybody, okay? It's how we can be amazing at pitching online. So before I start, one question. Is everyone okay with my English? You can hear me clearly? Brilliant. Okay, so pitching online. It's very obvious that COVID has accelerated change. This year has been insane. And we are moving and changing in all sorts of directions, and things are happening faster and faster. This is how we used to pitch, on stage in a fantastic co-working space with a great big screen and an audience of real people in the same room. However, this is our new reality. We are now all looking at a smartphone or a laptop. We're in different parts of the world. I'm in England, people are in Germany, in Denmark, in India, and we're all over the place, and we are pitching to our mobile phone and our laptop. Things are changing fast, but I want to share with you an insight I recently found out, that things are changing really quickly already. Last year, 2018 to 2019, there were 11 new internet users every single second. That is insane. The amount of people that are getting a smartphone, getting an internet connection, getting their laptop and joining the World Wide Web is going crazy. And I wonder what the numbers are for this year, because more and more people, my father who's 75 is now using Zoom. So people all over the world across all age spectrums are now coming online to do meetings, to do conferences, and to pitch. So the changing factors of 2020, we're pitching online. Every second, 11 people are joining the internet, and things are changing incredibly quickly. So this is happening more and more and more. You can join a meeting or a pitch from almost anywhere at any time. That means we have huge amounts of new possibilities. So this shift to pitching, two things I'd really like to point out is you can connect to people anywhere. So it's not just about the investors that live close to you. You could be talking to investors in Silicon Valley from wherever you are. You could be having meetings with people all over the world in different time zones. So we can go further and faster with our message. And we're also reducing cost. We're reducing renting on offices. We're reducing going to meeting rooms. We're reducing traveling through a city for an hour just to have a meeting. So we're saving money and we're saving time, and we're reaching further. Another insight I'd like to share is that 68% of video calls now take place on mobile devices. So you now have a meeting room in your hand. So you have a phone, you can pitch. And if you set up that meeting because you have a fantastic business idea, because you have an amazing vision, you have amazing potential, you have a phone, you can have your pitch and you can pitch to anybody. So we're in this new situation. We're now smartphones and our laptops instead of all sitting in the same room. However, the principles of pitching are the same. The tools are very different. And technology is great. We all love technology, but we've all experienced when technology has not gone smoothly. Maybe the battery ran out. Maybe the Wi-Fi shut down. Maybe the connection was unstable. Maybe you had trouble sharing your slides in the new chat software. So technology is not always smooth. We make mistakes. Things always go a little bit wrong. So we cannot guarantee that it's going to be perfect. But we can win if we practice. And in today's session, I'm going to share with you some ideas about how you can be really amazing at online pitching. And these are ideas that I've got from being in lots of Zoom meetings myself, researching different techniques, and observing and watching people pitch. I make lists of all the mistakes that I see, and I think of solutions to help people. Because like I said, this is the new normal. We are pitching more and more online, and this gives you so many opportunities to connect with people that you may never have met before. So I'd like to ask you to do something for me, okay? So can you give me a thumbs up if you're gonna do something for me? Yeah, we got some thumbs up. Yes, excellent. I would like you to make a small commitment to me. I would like you to try at least 3 of the things that I'm gonna share with you today. So I'm gonna give you some insights. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to go and download more information. And all I want you to do is try 3 things. Think of the 3 things that will really impact your performance, your business, and your pitching ability. Okay, so let's get into some content. How can we be amazing at pitching online? The first thing I always tell people is whenever you're pitching, please stand. Don't sit at your desk. Stand up. If you were in a real pitch, if you were in a pitch in 2019 and you had a room full of people, you wouldn't sit down. So therefore, the same rules apply. When you're pitching online to your device, stand up. I'm standing up now. It gives me so much more performance ability. I can move my body. I can breathe properly. I can move my hands. I'm not spinning in a chair. I'm not resting my hand on a desk. I'm standing because your time is important. And I want to make the best impression possible. So when you stand with your feet the same width as your shoulders. This gives you a stable platform to perform. You can move your hands, you can make eye contact, and you can really connect. So if you do anything after today, please stand when you pitch. You might need to organize your space a little bit, make sure you've got some good lighting, but it really, really makes a difference. I have seen people pitch sitting down. I gave them some advice. They pitched standing up, and every person in the audience was like, oh my God, that pitch was really good. So it's a very fast way to get a single, simple result of progress. So the next thing I'd like to share with you is to make sure that your background is clean and it's curated. So it's not your bedroom and it's not the kitchen and it's not some kind of random space in your house, but you choose a space which is simple. For example, I like a white wall. If you look on the other side of my laptop, my room is completely crazy. Boxes and my children's toys and maybe some laundry. No one sees that. Make sure what your audience sees is simple. And you can curate your space. You might have a plant, you might have some bookshelves, you might have a clock, some feature that gives you some kind of background, but make sure that it is intentional so that you are setting the right impression. Again, you wouldn't give a pitch from a messy space if it was an in-person pitch. You would make sure that it was clean and professional and is part of the image that you are sharing to your audience. So please, clean background, minimal white background or curated. Have the right picture, the right plant, the right clock, but not a messy space. The next thing I'd like to share with you is a really great tip, which is where you put a photograph behind the camera lens that you are talking to. Now, this is a really good idea because if you don't, we all end up looking at ourselves in the little window of Zoom. Whereas if you have a photograph of your wife, your children, your partner, your favorite pop star, your idol, your business idol, somebody you look up to, and you place that picture above and behind the camera lens, just with a bit of sticky tape, then you are pitching to that person. And you are looking at that person because we look into people's eyes. So I have a photograph of my children because I want to pitch to them. I'm doing all of this for you and for them, and I'm focusing on them, and I'm not looking at myself in the window of Zoom or Teams or Skype or WhatsApp or whatever tool we might use. And again, just a very simple photograph from a magazine, photograph from your family album, but you want to pitch to somebody you care about. Because when you're standing up and you have a clean background and you have a clear focus, you will do a much better pitch. Another thing that I'm always recommending people is to breathe. Because pitching is stressful. There is no rewind or pause. Once you start your pitch, you are pitching. And the best way to control your body and to feed your brain with fresh oxygen so you can think fast is to breathe. So you take 2 or 3 minutes before you pitch to be off camera, to turn off your phone. Once everything is set up, you then focus on your body and your mind. And the best, quickest, easiest way to do this is with big breaths. Really fill your lungs with fresh oxygen. Feed your mind with energy. Get ready. Stay calm. You may have noticed people when they pitch, if they haven't done their breathing exercises, they talk like this, and they get nervous because they haven't centered their body. So just, it helps you calm down, slow down. You can project your voice so people can hear you clearly. And it's a fantastic way of centering yourself. And finally, the last tip that I want to share with you today is dress to impress. Again, like I said, if you were in an in-person meeting, you wouldn't sit down. So when you're online, you stand up. And again, when you're online, just because you may have come from your kitchen or your bathroom or your bedroom, or you just put down your children, you still need to look professional. Now, that doesn't mean wearing a suit. It could be a shirt or a t-shirt or anything that you feel comfortable in and helps project your message. So whether it's a black t-shirt with your company logo, or whether it's a smart t-shirt, a shirt, I don't know, it's an impression for you. I am doing something different. I am respecting your attention. Because if you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you present well. And if you're presenting well and enjoying yourself, your audience will enjoy listening to your message and your ideas will grow. So it's part of a whole package. How you perform, where you perform, and what you look like. So just think about, how can I make the right impression? So for me, I used to just wear black t-shirts, shirts. When I was at school, I used to have to wear a suit and I did not like it. So I rejected school uniforms and suits for many years. And now I'm coming back to the idea that I actually need to look a little bit more official, professional, and smart. So again, you can choose what that is for you. But I want you to think about it and, like your space, be intentional. Okay, guys, that was all I'm going to share today because I don't want to bombard you with tons of information. But what I want to say is I've shared 5 online pitching tips, and I have another 10 that I want you to benefit from. So I've created a free online pitching guide. Okay, so today I shared 5. There is another 10 tips that you can have access to. And what I'd like to do now is give you one last pitch. I want you to go and visit my new website, which is called 8secondstoconnect.com. And I'm really passionate about helping founders, startup entrepreneurs do their pitching really well. And I believe that when you start your pitch, you have a very short amount of time to catch people's attention. Because when you have attention, people are listening. If you don't have attention, people are looking at their phones, they're thinking about the rest of their day, and your message is not being absorbed. So I really want you to be amazing at the beginning of your pitch. So you catch attention, you hold attention, and your message spreads. So if you would like the remaining 10 tips for online pitching, please check out 8 Seconds to Connect. Give us your email, join the emailing list, and you can get a free PDF download that you can save on your phone. And if you check this PDF a day before you do your next pitch, you can get some amazing results. So now I have finished, and I thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering your questions at the end of the session. So if you remember, I talked at the beginning about tools. The mobile phone and a laptop is a new tool for presenting. So I want to hand over to Lag, who is my new friend. And we have met recently because of online pitching, because of online communication. And he's going to introduce to you a fantastic tool that I really like, that I'm using myself, and he has developed. So now I'm going to hand over to Lag and say, you know, enjoy listening to the rest of this session and really take notice of this tool because it works fantastic. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to all the organizers. I'm now going to close my slides and hand it over. So without further ado, here we go to Lag.
Thank you very much, Martin. And I hope I'm not taking the word directly from you, Shubham. If you want to do another intro, then please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just continue. So,
yeah, sure. I'd like to first introduce, to the audience, Lauk, who's a co-founder of pitcherific.com, which is a digital tool which helps anyone to pitch with confidence. So I've personally used the tool and I'm totally intrigued by the way how they've built it. Lauk is also a former external lecturer at our host university in the field of entrepreneurship. So I think anyone who's from field of entrepreneurship for this event is going to benefit a lot from Lauk's input. Over to you, Lauk, now.
thank you very much, Shubham. And I'll share my screen as well, so you can get a hold on my slides too. And hopefully you're all ready to learn how to prepare a pitch in record time. And I also saw a question in the audience about how to pitch their product online. And I hope I will let you know a suggestion for that in the next 20 minutes. First, I would like to share a very simple idea with you, and that is the definition of pitching. And in some way, this should be something that we don't need to talk about, but because pitching is not just a normal presentation, there are 2 specific elements to pitching that is important if we want to succeed in pitching. The first is that we need to convince. We need to be easy understandable, but also need to be able to, and somehow convince so the other person, the person we pitch to, want to buy in on our idea, want to invest, want to partner up, want to share the idea further, something that is convincing. But we also have to do it within a time limit. And that's the fuzzy thing about pitching, right? Because if you just had 60 minutes to do any presentation, then of course you will be able to say all the interesting things and be convincing. But actually, time limits are a friend to us when we know how to use it, because it's actually easier to convince within a time limit than if you just had loads of time to convince him. So a little short about me. I'm the co-founder and CEO of pitcherific.com, a tool for pitching, as Martin said, that I'll be sharing with you guys in the end of this presentation. But again, first, if we have to do this short pitch, let's say, for example, 1 minute pitch, well, how hard can that actually be? Well, many of us feels like Winnie the Pooh when we ask that question. The piglet says it wasn't very wise to say Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh says, yeah, well, it was nice when it was inside my head, but then something happened on the way out. And you know, this is the way we can feel as entrepreneurs. We can feel that these new ideas, these never heard before ideas we tell about, we will all often have a hard time to tell these things in short and be convincing, because people have never heard of these things before, and they should both understand. Of course, they should understand these things, and then the next level is to be convinced. So I can share with you an insight from my own experience, and that was how I used 3 weeks to prepare the first pitch I ever did. It was, you know, a chaos process where I don't know where to start, what to include, what not to include, how to build the pitch, how to prepare the pitch. So how can I actually avoid these 3 weeks of worries? That was the basic of why we created a tool to guide pitching, guide creating and practicing the pitch. So if you also want to avoid these 3 weeks of worries, then the question is just how can we do that? And the simple answer, and I'll of course I'll tell you more, but the simple answer is don't start by creating slides, because many of us are choosing to you know, start up PowerPoint, start up Prezi, start up Keynote when we think about I need to prepare a presentation. And there are nothing wrong with PowerPoint, Prezi, Keynote, and other slide creating programs. They are great tools, but they are tools later in the process when you know what to say, not to start out with. Because if you do that exercise, actually start PowerPoint, clear blank slides, and then you want to create pictures, but you don't even know what to say, this will be a hard task. That was what I did for the first 2 weeks of my first presentation, right? So instead, we want to create the message, the important core message that you want to convey to your audience. That is the first thing you need to care about. So only when you have created the core message, you can move on to slides. So there are 3 things that I would like to share with you that you need to consider before moving into slides, if you are allowed to use slide at all. In many situations, you don't have the opportunity to pick up your computer and start using PowerPoint. In many situations, you are just you with your voice and your body and your person and your idea, and that is what we have to convince. The first thing we need to consider about the message is to have a logical structure for the content. A logical structure is important because it will help you, but more important, the audience, to follow along when you present something new. And probably if you are an entrepreneur, you'll present something new. So this is a suggestion for one structure you could use. You could hook the audience with an interesting fact or question. Then you can tell about an important, relevant need that the audience can connect with. Then you tell about the approach to solve that need, your solution for solving the need or the problem. And then you tell about the benefits, because one thing is what is the solution? Another thing is what benefits does it bring to the ones with the need? And people will also need to hear about different alternatives, the competition, the situation going on in the world, and you are one approach out of many trying to solve this need. So why is this approach interesting? Why is this approach and better or interesting alternative to the other approaches out there? And then the last thing, because we are in a pitch situation, we need to close off in an interesting way. Often we can do that with a call to action. That means somehow reaching out to the audience with a request, asking them to do something. I would like to for you all to visit pitcherific.com after today, because there you can find your easy way of presenting. That could be one suggestion for a close, right? When we have the logical structure, we need to include only the need to know things about our idea and not the nice to know things. The nice to know are for the follow-up meeting, for sending out the detailed documents about the details. But if we include every detail in, or too many details in our pitch, then the audience and the message will draw in details. So avoid that and include only the most important things. And then the last thing when we are about to create our pitch is to let audience time limit and the goal, what we want to achieve when pitching, guide you. Because it's hard to be within a time limit, but it's even harder if we don't know exactly who we are going to talk to and know exactly what we want to achieve from pitching. So if we are aware of these things when we start out creating our core message, then we have a lot better chance of connecting well with our audience and to be within time as well. Okay. Some of you may ask, well, Lauge, this is okay. It sounds great, but also hard to keep all these things in mind, especially at once. How do we do that? Well, I know. I know, and pitching is both very simple and very complex at the same time. But don't worry, because that's why we have created a tool for you, so we got your back. So I want to use the last 5 minutes to show how you can do a easy, understandable, on-time, convincing pitch and have it prepared in only 25 minutes. This is the 1-minute version of a pitch, right? It's not a 10-minute or 4-minute version. That will take you a little longer, but I'll show you a process that you can use every time you need to prepare a pitch. So right now, I would like you to watch a demo of the pitch tool at pitcherific.com, and I will just share my other screen because I'll need to share the right screen to do the demo. And the right screen is this one. So everything starts at pitcherific.com. If you already have an account, you can log in by signing in. Otherwise, you can sign up. There's a free 7-day trial, so you can try out the tool. Because I have an account, I'll just sign in here. So Pitcherific is based upon that we need to create a strong message and we need to train the delivery of this message, right? So starting out on the first one, we want to help you create a convincing pitch faster. So we use these best practice templates. Best practice templates are put into different categories. So there are pitch your ideas, for example. There are for startup events, for investor pitching, job interviews, and explaining science. So depending on your purpose, we have built some suggestions on what to include, what not to include, and in what order to. So the structure, content, and is all set up for you. So let's choose the one I've just presented, the NABC pitch. And you can see that the template comes with an outlining of these sections that you need to include. And it comes with guiding on what a hook is when you need to create one, and an example of how to create a good hook. So this is a tool that will help you with what to say. But you can also set the time limit up here. By setting the time limit, the tool will help you to keep within the time limit you have set when you start writing. So if you follow this character counter here and seconds counter, when I start writing something, you can see that it's counting up seconds and counting up characters. And at some point it will go over the recommended line, over the recommended number of characters. So if you want to keep within the overall time limit here in the button, then you probably won't do more than 12 seconds for your hook in a 2-minute pitch. So there are 2 more settings for you to get in the right mindset when preparing. The first is to whom are you presenting? So this is who are you going to convince? Who are you going to talk to? And this is important because everything you could say should be seen, is it relevant to this audience? That is what you can always ask if you are in doubt if this is relevant to the audience. This content, should I include it or not? So for example, this is to a customer to get a meeting. So these are the elements that you need to do when preparing a pitch. If we try to, let's see if we have a pitch ready here. We do, and you can see we've gone a little bit over time overall, but I say that this is okay. So this ends the first thing on training the pitch, namely creating the message. So now we enter the second thing, and a very important thing, that is training the delivery of your pitch, right? So we enter training mode by clicking practice here, and the practice mode is a simulating situation from the actual pitch situation, right? So if you follow the blue line, you will find a pace when you pitch that will keep you within a time limit without speed talking. It goes like this. Did you know that 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs haven't been training pitching, but that it is crucial for their success? If you want another audience, if you want to simulate another situation, there is, for example, the investor. It could be the stage, or it could be that you just want to convince a couple of buddies, at least for a start. These will be listening to your pitch over and over again without being too critical. So last two things I will share with you about Petrific. And the first thing is that you can, of course, use keywords also. So instead of training reading up, that is not the end goal of training your pitch. The end goal is you put all your preparations away and then you pitch without any manuscript, without any help, so to say. If you are creating slides, that is an option for helping. And the last thing is out here to the right, you can see that there is a pitch recorder. It will use your web camera to record your pitch. So you can check out your body language, you can check out your own voice, how you connect with the audience, right? So these are different helping things when you are creating your pitch, both the methods and to practice the delivery. So just jumping back and showing the last slide, because Petrific is a tool that you can use from home and you should use before considering a lot of feedback. But feedback is also important. And that is why I would like to share with you the last things here. Sorry. And and my 20 minutes is up. That is the clock that ticks out there. So the last thing is that Petrific is, and can what screen can you see right now? Can you see my slides right now? Excellent. So Petrific is a tool you should use in the early process of creating a pitch, but also practicing the important message. Then you should get some feedback. You could get feedback from peers. You can get feedback from Martin or me or someone else that is good at pitching. And then go use slides if that is an option for you, because slides is like, you know, the finalizing. Of course, if we can create pictures in our audience mind, that will be very helpful. So that was it for me. I hope you are being inspired on how to build your next pitch, and thank you for listening.
So amazing presentation from our both speakers, and we have some questions in the group chat, and I'd like both of you to sort of give your inputs. So the first question we have is from Sandy, and Sandy often gets anxious while pitching in public. So Martin, because you were the first speaker, I'm going to ask you this question first. That I think it's pretty common. Sometimes people end up getting anxious while pitching. So what tips do you have to sort of beat that anxiety?
Fantastic question. Thank you very much. The first thing I'd like to say is that it's perfectly normal to feel nervous. Everybody feels nervous before you pitch because you have the whole room's attention on you and you feel like you're being watched and judged and observed, and you are. So to feel nervous is perfectly okay, but you have put yourself in this position and the results are going to be amazing. And so first thing I want you to just bear in mind is that it's okay. And when you feel and accept that it's okay to get nervous, then you can get over it and focus on your goal. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about breathing, okay? And Lag has just shared us an amazing tool where you can organize your thinking in the system, and then you can simulate what it feels like to have somebody looking at you as you're pitching. Now, those are really great tools and strategies, and I do them and I think they're fantastic. But to get your body right, breathing and doing some stretching, you know, stretching up, stretching this way, running up some stairs, going for a walk, doing some press ups, something that's going to sort of get your body moving but relaxed. Because if you just stand here getting nervous, you get really tense. and you start to feel the whole pressure in your body seizing up, and you want to be more fluid, you want to have more flow in your body. So breathe, turn off your phone, you know your content. Focus on the moment and get some exercise, because exercise helps us relax. So prepare your body and prepare your mind, because if you've used Picturific and you've followed a process, you are prepared. You just need to control yourself in the last hour, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and then you present.
Great point. I mean, while sort of listening to both of you speak, I just thought that Lauk, if you and Martin can also collaborate on a Picturific version 2.0 or a Martin version, I think that's also going to do really well. A product on Martin's ideas and your, I'd say, technical expertise.
Absolutely. I'm up for that.
I was thinking the same thing.
Let me just say one thing about nervousness, and also answer maybe Michael's question here, because the best thing that I've known to make me more relaxed when pitching, and it's basic, but that is be well prepared, because then you can easily or more easily lay back and say, well, I've done my best here, I'm prepared. And then of course, if we only sit at home and never get input, then we can be on the wrong track. So the other thing I would say to be less nervous is to get feedback, to have that feedback from other persons, to say, well, this you shouldn't say that, or you should improve on this, because then you know that you have done some things to get better. And then the last thing, Michael's question here, how to improve on a pitch, improvise, sorry, on a pitch. Well, again, the best platform for improvising is being very well prepared, because then you can jump. If you are on the wrong track, then you can jump into another track. Then you can change tracks, and you can grab a question from the audience before you continue with your own. So again, being well prepared really helps you in so many ways, both with nervousness and improvising.
Absolutely.
Great points, Lauk. The second question we have on our chat is that how can someone pitch a product virtually to their customers? And I'm considering these are both the existing customers and prospective customers. So how do you set up a virtual pitching journey for them? Martin, you go first.
I mean, I think we've just seen one. We've just seen a demo of a digital tool. And I think, Lark did a fantastic job of talking about the problem, talking about how we feel about the problem, and then showing how to use the tool. And I think some points I would add on top of that, and as Lark did, he kept it very simple. It's like, this is what you do, these are the 4 functions, and he had a slide with one piece of paper and lots of paper. And don't try and show everything in a virtual product demo, because you don't want to read a manual to somebody. So I'd like you to think about what happens the first thing you do when you buy a new smartphone is you open the box, you get the phone, you plug it in, and you start using it. You only go to the manual when it's broken. And your product demo should go straight to the audience's need, show them how they benefit, and say, hey, if you want all this other information, I can give it to you. But right now, I want you to be successful with the product or the tool that I'm giving you. And you want to show the benefits. You don't need to show every single user step, but you want to show how they improve their lives.
Great points. Lauk, do you have something to add to that?
I very much agree, and then hopefully the NABC model will be a way to approach this because this is a model for presenting new ideas to customers and also products to new customers. So I have no further than Martin already said apart from that.
Awesome. So, Martin, what are your thoughts on Michael's question that how can you improvise on a pitch? He's saying that sometimes you notice through the input of others or last minute information that you need to adapt your pitch. So, how to best do that?
I mean, I'm going to echo Larg's point about preparation, practice, and feedback. Whenever you see somebody present really well, it's because they have practiced like crazy. And we always have this idea that, oh, they're so perfect, they just do it naturally. No, they don't. They practice and practice and practice and practice. And the more you have practiced, the more flexible you are to respond if something goes wrong. And you can make it, oh, look, that wasn't meant to happen, but nobody noticed. And so the one thing I would share is if something goes wrong, never apologize to the audience, because chances are they don't even know that it's gone wrong. So you don't need to put a spotlight unless it's something completely obvious. But if you've maybe slipped a slide or you forgot to say something, just keep going. So it keeps you focused and calm. You don't need to put a spotlight on an error. And then the other thing I would just say, the last thing I'll say on this is take every single opportunity to pitch and practice. And you start in zero risk environments, and then you build up slowly and you practice and you use pitcherific and you do your breathing. And so you have pitched 10 or 15 times before you speak to somebody super important. And again, that's the benefit of DueDash and the pitching corners and the local groups, and everything that the DueDash platform gives you is a safe space to practice, to get feedback and to improve. But if you sit at home worried about pitching, you'll never make that first step. And every single time you pitch, you get better. You might make a mistake. I have made every single mistake in the book. I've turned up late. I've had no cables. I've had projectors switch off on me. Everything's gone wrong to me. So it's okay. You just keep on going.
Excellent. Good points, Martin. I just want to add one note to the first thing you said. And that is, I normally say that if you remember 70 to 80% of what you want to say, what you have planned to say, not necessarily in that order, but if you say 70, 80%, it will feel like 100% to the audience because they don't know what you are going to say, right? So as Martin said, don't correct yourself because you didn't do that sentence right, or because you forgot something, because the audience don't know. And that is also a thing that will let you be less nervous, because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to remember everything.
Yeah, it's very well said, and I just remember a quote after listening to you both that sort of practice beats perfectionism. You don't have to sort of be the best. You just have to sort of make it right enough so that your audiences also understand. But good points. I mean, very valuable ones. So we have another question from Naman. He's one of our fellow city leaders, and his question is that if your idea is a very broad idea, how would you go around pitching that idea to different audiences? Is it going to be you need to prepare different pitches for every audience, or do you stick to one pitch for your different set of audiences? So I'll ask Cloud to go first on this.
Yes. Very good question. And one of my points was to always adjust your pitch and your content to the one you pitch to the audience. So if you are going to talk to an investor, and the next week you need to talk to a customer, and next week you need to talk to your grandmother about your idea, then you need to adjust these things very much. You need to create a new pitch probably. On Pitcherific, we have done that. You can copy a pitch and then you can make a change it into fitting to another audience. But for example, an investor will need to hear things about return on investment, about go-to-market strategy, about the business model. But if you tell these things to your grandmother or to a customer, they wouldn't understand, and they wouldn't be interested, and probably it will be the opposite of convincing to them. So you need to be specific on the different audiences and create a pitch that fits that audience.
100% agree. I could not agree more. You pitch to the audience in front of you. And I'm going to share one story very quickly, is that I asked some companies to send, when I worked in a company, I asked other web designers to send us a presentation, and I was sharing it to the board of directors. And when we were looking at the different pitches, one pitch came up and the design was okay. We started on the second, third slide. The two directors turned to each other and said, "Why are we looking at a template pitch? Where's me in my story? Why am I not seeing myself in this presentation?" And they stopped listening and they started talking. So every other slide in the presentation was a waste. So you really have to focus on the audience in front of you. And there's two more things I really want to quickly share. So this morning I woke up early and looked at my slides, thought about you guys as my audience, and I made some new content for today. And then I reused some existing content, because the way that I presented this last time was not to you. It was to a slightly different audience. So you have to modify your pitch to the audience in front of you. And the more practice you do, the quicker that gets. And then the last thing I want to talk about very quickly is there are two different types of presentation. At the moment, we are live. We're not in the same room, but I have your attention, Alaug has your attention, and Shubham has your attention, and we are presenting to you. This is a very different presentation than one that you send as an email. And you have probably sat in a meeting and looked at slides with lots and lots and lots of text. Now, this is not a great thing to present to a real audience. So I call it a standalone pitch is an email pitch. An in-person pitch is one you deliver. So you're always thinking about your audience. This subject gets very big very quickly, so I'm not going to say any more, but you will start to look at pitches that you are in and ask yourself, is this an email pitch or is this a live pitch? Your live pitch is no words, maybe one or two sentences and lots of images. And a pitch you email has more screen text. So just start to think about that, because it's really important for your audience.
Great. So we'll now take the last question for today's event. It's by Marcus. And so the question Marcus has is, what do you think is the hardest type of pitch? 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 30 minutes? Guys, whoever wants to go first on this.
Well, I think the shorter the pitch, the harder it gets. But when you are doing 5, 10, 30-minute pitches, you are often also saying a lot about your business model and some in-depth things about your company. And it can be difficult, to be well prepared on every level on your business. And because then you also open up questions on any parts of your business. So in that way, a 1 minute idea pitch is easier. But what I experience is that in general, it's harder for people to cut down their message down to a shorter length of pitch, for example, 30 seconds, 1 minute, than it is to go the other way and do a 5-minute or 10-minute pitch. Because the difficult thing is to do a short pitch and keep the core, and only the core.
I 100% agree. I mean, a big problem that I used to have was I presented too much, because it's actually quite easy and a bit more comfortable just to pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch. The hardest thing is to have attention. Now, you need attention whether you're pitching in 8 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 60 minutes. If you lose the attention of your audience, you're just talking to yourself. So again, it's all about attention, and it's very hard to get attention and keep it. So a 1 minute pitch, like Larg said, you have to just get the main point across and then stop. And so that is the hardest thing to practice. But once you are good at that, everything else gets a lot easier. But attention is the most important thing. So almost every slide that you share is a new pitch, because you're talking about a new aspect of your business. So you're actually doing, in 5 minutes, maybe 7 or 8 elevator pitches. So think about it like that. Attention is the most important thing. And as we just talked about, managing your time and staying focused on the essentials.
Great. I think we have our speakers have, I hope for the audience, answered all the questions. And I hope that today's session was helpful for our audience as well. So the recording of this session will be available for everyone on the DueDash platform. And I can see that Marcus has posted a link. So I hope everyone who's enjoyed today's event can join the community. Apart from that, both the speakers are available on DueDash as well. So you can reach out to them in their direct inboxes for any sort of assistance. With that note, I think I'm going to end the event. And I'd like to thank both of you for taking out time today for our audience. And I hope you've enjoyed it as
Thanks
well.
for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. It's really great. Thank you, Shaban, for organizing. It's been a real pleasure.
Have a great day, everyone. And bye-bye.